Assalamu alaikum. Alia Saluji here at Lal Kila. We're bringing you today to the exhilarating Congress of Business and Economics, celebrating the accomplishments of this phenomenal, trailblazing woman. Join us as we engage with these amazing women, such as renowned journalist Qaanitah, humanitarian extraordinaire Zohra Sooliman from Gift of the Givers, and lastly, political powerhouse Naledi Pandor. Get ready to be motivated and excited by these brilliant women.
I'd like to welcome the men as well, besides the women. But to do an official welcome, let me call our Secretary General from the CBE, Rashid Chopdat.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, and champions of equality, Sawabona, Dumelang, good afternoon, Namaste, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum. I've got the privilege of doing the official welcome. I'd like to share a bit of the history of this event. For 10 years now, the CBA has brought together a constellation of ordinary women, extraordinary women, leaders from across South Africa. Over this decade, more than 50 remarkable women have been recognized for their achievements across all sectors in South Africa. These women have shown us, through their work and through their lives, that leadership is not defined by any gender, but by courage, vision, resilience, and an unshakable commitment to humanity. They have led in governance, in diplomacy, in transforming social norms, and in the shifting political landscape. They brought about equality for women and empowered the women.
Assalamu alaikum. I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Among the many CBE initiatives, the Women's Day initiative is arguably one of our most unselfish events where we recognize what we call the blessing to humanity. And the reason is, you know, why women are special actually can't be quantified or can't be appreciated enough, and that's because everybody you see, people that have attained greatness, people that have excelled beyond what the human calls were, and every single one of them was born to a woman. Now, you know, that is a divine ordainment from the highest of orders and our Creator, who felt that every single human being should be nurtured in their most vulnerable state and nurtured towards greatness by only one single part of humanity, and that is women. And ladies and gentlemen, I think if we all exist here, we exist through that part of humanity. I think you should give you all yourselves a great, great round of applause. Now, a man will sustain his family for a month, for a year, continue building, but women shape generations. Women shape the thinking of a future, and that future would either be bright or would be bleak. You know, many religions believe it, Islam believes it, that if you want to understand the future and the success of any civilization, look at how they treat their women. And if women are not treated well, that civilization ceases to exist and ceases to prosper. So these ordainments are not ordinary, they're divine. And any opposition or swimming against the tide, so to speak, of these ordainments can only lead to disaster and sadness. However, today is about acknowledgement that even beyond that basic maternal duty, women in various ways have excelled, whether they've supported a family unit, whether they've taken, like our respected former minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor, taken up humanitarian causes, stood for what's right, stopped the silence of oppression, stopped the silence of humiliation, stopped the silence for humiliation and stood up against it. Ladies and gentlemen, women have now embraced a different kind of responsibility, where beyond their own family units, beyond their own community circles, they've excelled to greater heights. They've taken on human responsibility. They've taken on communal responsibilities. And I say to you that if it were up to us as a CBE, we'd spend the entire year awarding women. But unfortunately, it's not practical. So we have a screening process. Today, we will acknowledge 3 women that have excelled. And we will give a great citation to a woman that we have great respect for. And that is you, Dr. Pandor. And I think you have been an inspiration not to women, you have been an inspiration to humanity about what standing for the truth means, irrespective of cost, to oneself, to one's family, or to one's reputation. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, this is not about us. I haven't prepared a speech. I just wanted to say these few words on behalf of the CBE. We want you to spend an afternoon with us. We want you to enjoy it. We want you to celebrate these successes. And hopefully join us each year as we celebrate great achievements of women that excel, but let us every day celebrate the women in our midst and the women that do great things for us, be it your wife, daughter, mother, grandmother. Let us appreciate them and understand that it is not us that has validated them. There's a higher order that has. Thank you.
So it's time to reach the highlight of the event, which is the awards. As Rashid pointed out earlier, we go through a process where we identify some women every year who have excelled not only in business but in various other fields. And the first lady that we are going to award is Dr. Carol Ann Ben.
Today, we honor Professor Carol Ann Ben with the CBE Excellence in Leadership Award, an extraordinary professor with the Department of Immunology at the University of Pretoria and a fellow of the College of Surgeons of South Africa. She is globally recognized oncology expert with a special focus on breast disease.
What I really want to say, leadership is about inspiring others to dream more, be better. It's not about yourself. It's about what you do and what you put forward. Healthcare is such an important thing for me because it's about the people who don't have, not the people who do have. You can only wear one pair of jeans. You can only drive one car. When I see the amount of excess and the fact that what I love about community is about giving forward. It's about stopping people you see and helping them in any way possible. Because if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So it's the most important aspect of what we need to look after. We need to inspire people to screen. I am so proud to be South African, and it's such an important thing for me to be involved in government units and setting up better care for people. Care is not expensive. I get really irritated when I hear this, oh, we don't want national health and we don't want everything. We want health care for all. We want good health care. We want people healthy. We want them educated, we want them to feel safe, and we want them healthy. And how we do that is by ensuring in any way possible we can set up simple, I always say breast care is for blondes. It doesn't take a lot of hard work. All it does is setting up systems so people know what to look for and where to go. It's about access. We have hostile hospital environments in private and in government. I was invited 2 years ago to sit in a task force in the UK. And they invited me over to give a talk, National Health Task Force. What ways could I contribute to making their healthcare better? I said, you have amazing systems, equipment, everything, bells and whistles. You have lost the concept of what medicine's about. You have healthcare professionals who want to work from 8 to 9, take a tea break, and 9 to 10, and then take a lunch break. Healthcare is about being available 24/7. It's when someone sends you a message to say, who do I go to, where do I look? That's what it's about. It's about seeing people for nothing if you're in private. So I have a system where whether you're not on a medical aid or not, you have access to care. The reason why I credit unit is to protect patients from doctors. Okay. It's about making sure that when you are at your most vulnerable, you are protected. So for me, leadership is about the youngsters that we educate and we bring forward and we encourage to stay in this amazing country and make a difference. I've just accepted I'm sitting now as head of the African Council for Breast and Women's Health. In fact, I have to try and get our minister to come to a meeting in Egypt, because for me, we have out of Africa always something new. We have ways here because we have to understand the hustle of how you do things better and different. Digital pathology, medicine. So we strive to set up systems so that we can do things better. When I get offered jobs overseas, I'm like, this is stayed and this, you're just all going on the same road. But here, we can make a huge difference. So thank you very much for this amazing award. It is an absolute privilege, and let's inspire all our youngsters to just, when you see someone, realize it's their body, their health, be respectful and try and help any way you can.
Our next recipient is a journalist of international repute. She has been a winner of many other awards as well, and we are going to hear about her. Her name is Qaanitah Hunter.
Today, we honor Qaanitah Hunter with the CBE Excellence in Leadership Award, an award-winning political journalist, editor, and best-selling author. Qaanitah is a formidable voice in South Africa's media landscape. She is the founding editor of the Debrief Network, a correspondent of Newsroom Africa, and a contributor to Al Jazeera English. Through fearless reporting and incisive political commentary, she has shaped the national debate and amplified South Africa's voice on the global stage.
Thank you to the CBE and thank you to the amazing community that I'm proud to be part of for constantly recognizing the efforts that we make. We've been talking a lot in my circles around community and the importance of being there for each other and creating an empowering environment for people to thrive. And I often recall as a 17-year-old who came from Durban to Joburg with a bus ticket and being robbed as soon as I got to Park Station as I wanted to be a journalist. I often talk about the one pair of shoes that I had, which is one pair of pink shoes that was not prepared for the Joburg winter at all. And when anyone would ask me what I was doing in Joburg as a 17-year-old, still waiting for my matric results, I would say, I'm going to be a journalist. And I remember this look of, that pacifying look of, yeah, sure, and to sit, 15 years later and to be on stages like this, to be supported but also to be celebrated is an absolute blessing. But I have to say that this journey that I have undertook is a journey that can only happen in South Africa. One where a girl child from Reservoir Hills in Durban, who comes from a madrasa environment, can work her way up and work the country of a democratic South Africa. And I don't take it for granted. Earlier today, we were at the ANC National Executive Committee meeting, and we were laughing with the president. And I often remember a conversation that I had with a colleague who said, it is absolutely bizarre that you on a Monday will write critical of the president, and then on a Thursday have a very friendly and funny conversation with him. And I say that this is not something we take for granted, that this is the fruit of this democracy, that we forget how expensive it was. So me standing here, me doing what I'm doing, is a manifestation of that democracy. And I think that it's important for us not to tap out of it. And secondly, for us to recognize that we are because of each other. And I say that the opportunities that I've had in my life has been because, a minister would give me an interview even though I was an 18-year-old child that shouldn't have been interviewing politicians. And similarly, the opportunities from people like Uncle Farad, there's so many people that I can mention in this room who have stood by me even when there was no reason to, when I was just a teenager trying to make my way into this scary world called journalism. To say that the recognition is such an important thing, because essentially it paves the way for others and those behind us to understand what's possible. And I think that as a young girl, I saw some of my heroes that are here in this room today go and be courageous journalists, and for that reason, I was able to envision that life for myself. Because where does a 16-year-old from Reservoir Hills know what it is to be a political journalist? It's because I saw and I had an example ahead of me, and I think it's absolutely important for us to keep that in mind. And lastly, I think it's important for us to understand the importance of support. If you look at what's happening in the world, it feels like the world is going crazy. But there's an absolute coordination around a racist right-wing extreme that exists. And that's because they support each other. And so when you see the absolute worst of humanity getting such a huge voice and getting support in such an enormous way, you wonder, how does that happen? And the answer is because they are supported by each other and they are organized. And so essentially the one message that I have is that when we celebrate people, when we celebrate each other, when we talk about the enormous contributions that people like Dr. Naledi Pandor has made for this country, understand that it still needs a lot of coordination and support, because on the other side is what we're up against is extremely coordinated and extremely well-resourced. So in any way, to understand that we can only make an impact if we do it together, and we cannot make it only on one particular cause. This is about holistically supporting each other, and more importantly, standing together, whether it is someone's initiatives in the arts, whether it's someone's initiatives in activism, whether it's someone's initiative in business. At the end of the day, it's really about supporting one another. And I thank you so much for this. Barakallah Fiqh.
Thank you very much for that. Now, our third and final awardee for tonight, or this afternoon. I'm so used to evening events of CBA. This afternoon is unfortunately unable to join us. A short while ago, we got a message from her from Durban. She had boarded a plane, and the plane had technical issues, and everybody was asked to unboard the plane. So obviously, even if she gets the next flight, she would not be here on time. And she very kindly sent us the speech she would have delivered here. But before we call someone to read that speech on her behalf, let's watch the video.
Today, we honor Zohra Sooliman with the CBE Excellence in Leadership Award. She is the co-founder of the Gift of the Givers Foundation and director of its Careline Counseling Service, a platform that has supported individuals, families, and communities for nearly 3 decades. A counseling psychology by profession, she has dedicated her life to promoting mental health, trauma care, and well-being of women and children, while ensuring the emotional support of the Gift of the Givers teams working on the front lines for over 33 years. Zohra has combined professional excellence with humanitarian leadership.
That's Dr. Zohra Sooliman. I'd like to call on Zakira Vadi to read the speech on behalf of Dr. Sooliman.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. So this is Mrs. Sooliman's message. She says, distinguished guests, members of the CBE and fellow leaders, with greetings of peace, I am deeply honored to this afternoon receive this award. Being among so many remarkable awardees reminds me that leadership is not about individual recognition, but about collective effort, guidance, and mentorship we receive along the way. Hence, being recognized in the category of women in leadership is both humbling and inspiring. When I received the email stating that I have been nominated for this award and asking if I will accept, I wondered a bit more about this organization. With some research, I realized that the CBE has been on its own remarkable journey of activism to driving entrepreneurship and business excellence, and continues to create opportunities for growth, fosters transparent partnerships, and empowers communities through active citizenry and philanthropy. And in doing so, it reminds us that building businesses is also about building people, dignity, and a prosperous future for all. Mrs. Sooliman goes on to say, I am certainly not in the field of business and entrepreneurship, and I certainly don't see myself as a leader. What I do see myself as is an activist. Being in the NGO sector of humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, my work has been and is predominantly about uplifting people, and giving them respect and dignity, which is every human being's birthright. It has always been about service, very much like the philosophy of the CBE. For me, it is about showing up for others, making space for voices that are often unheard, and amplifying them. It is about enabling others to discover their strengths and to realize their potential, to make a meaningful contribution to the world around them. It is about impact and the courage to stay the course, even when the path is tough. I have learned that every small act of courage and every decision to mentor or support other women has a ripple effect far beyond one can see. Hence, when women are in leadership roles, we do not only shape women in our businesses or organizations, but we shape them in their families, communities, and society at large. As we celebrate women leaders, I want us to reflect on the responsibility and opportunity we carry. It is not about personal success, not about individual recognition. When we are in positions of influence and power, it becomes a duty and an obligation to mentor, advocate, and lift as many people as possible to create a legacy that builds more leaders, more change makers, and more empowered communities. I encourage all of us to create legacies that inspire generations to come. She goes on to say, so from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank the nominees and the CBE for this honor. I'd also like to thank my seniors for their guidance and insight, my colleagues for the challenge and growth, and many individuals and communities that I have served. You've all been my teachers and mentors along this journey. Importantly, I'd like to thank my family for the immense support and sharing the passion for my work. Mrs. Sooliman concludes, may we continue to lead with humility, act with integrity, and empower others with purpose. May our leadership be measured not by accolades, but by the lives we touch and the communities we uplift.
Thank you very much. Now we have a very special, I can't call it a prize because it's so substantial and such a wonderful thing that has been donated by somebody, one of our members, Sanjay. And it's a piece of paper basically, but it's very valuable. So Farad, you come and tell us all about it. And also, we're going to auction this prize, which is worth, I think, about 14,000 Rand, I believe.
Let's remember a bit of an anecdotal story before I start. I remember in the 1920s, a woman entered an auction. A male-dominated arena, she was the only female there. The auctioneer stopped on his spot and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you in the right place?" Yes, I am. She sat down and continued to bid for the masterpiece she wanted and outbid everyone in the room and walked away with what she wanted. With that same passion and purpose, we've heard about the amazing work CBE is doing, led by Ashfaq and his team. And we should back up this to honor our women, to honor businesses. So the prize that has been donated is a beautiful 4-day, 3-night cruise. It includes all port charges, service charges, insurance, as well as 2 pillows donated by Wonder Flooring. And let's start this auction off. Shall we start it off at 500 rands? Do I have anyone's hands up? There's 500 rand at the back. Can we go to 1,000 rand? 1,000 rand, 1,500? 8,000? 10,000 going once? 10,000 going twice? And 10,000 gone to Shiraz. Give him a good... Shiraz, come up and collect your...
Here's a video of our very special guest this afternoon.
Citation of Excellence celebrating women's leadership presented to Dr. Naledi Pandor by the Congress of Business and Economics. In honor of her distinguished leadership, intellectual rigor, and unwavering commitment to public service, we proudly recognize Dr. Naledi Pandor as a paragon of excellence in women's leadership.
Respected internationally for all the work she's done in such diverse fields and more latterly before her retirement, as we know, in international relations. Welcome, Doctor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I had said to CBE that I'm only going to attend this event to celebrate the women who deserve awards, not myself. I am very worried that I'm getting too many awards. And there are many women in our country and beyond who have done incredible work. I mean, the story that Qaanitah was relating about her beginning as a journalist. I remember meeting her at Wits University at a seminar with Naeem Jinnah and others. And she was just a shy young child. And here she is today, an accomplished author and journalist. It is women such as these that we should celebrate. And I really believe that I'm fortunate to be able to be in the same room as the awardees that have been celebrated today. You know, people often ask me, especially Ashraf over there, what are memorable moments for you in public service? And I just want to speak about one, and it's I suppose, an issue of legacy in some way. When I was an activist in the civil society many, many years ago, we kept being approached by young people who had successfully passed their matriculation exams, but whose families did not have funds to send them on to university. And these young people would approach us as teachers, lecturers, asking for how they could secure assistance. So in this particular year, I think it's late 1990, I happened to meet a gentleman called Merlin Mel, who was a professor of mathematics at the University of the Western Cape. And he said, I want you to become a member of a committee that we're forming, which is going to look at how we can secure resources for funding poor students who have successfully met requirements to proceed to higher education. So, of course, I was thrilled to join. In the first of our meetings, we weren't quite sure where the funds would come from. And then, lo and behold, the Independent Development Trust at the time, an institution formed by the nationalist government of the time, said that it would make funds available to support poor students to enter higher education. The chair of IDT at that time was Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu. I don't know if you remember him. He's still alive in the Eastern Cape. incredible South African. So Professor Nkulu called Professor Mal and said the IDT in its first award is going to make R1 million available for support to poor black students. So Professor Mal called the small committee it formed, and would you believe in that committee was myself, Professor Mal, joined briefly by Professor Nkulu, and then this troublesome young man who's now out of the EFF and formed his own party. He was a member of that committee. And we had R1 million to distribute for young people to proceed to higher education. Well, to not delay this function far too long, the legacy matter is about 6 years later, I was a member of parliament in 1996, and Qaanitah Asmal told me that your TEFSA is going to become my institution. And I said, what's Professor Asmal talking about? You'll remember my comrade Ismail Badi, who was a member of parliament at the time. So Professor Qaanitah Asmal said to me, that TEFSA that you all started, I'm going to make 300 million rand available to it. And I'm going to pass legislation to create the National Student Financial Aid Fund. So it is those beginnings that give rise to these larger moments. And I think what we should all try to think about as we live our lives is how can we contribute to small beginnings that will become larger. I'm most honored and privileged to have been given this wonderful citation, but the particular honor is being party to this award with exceptional women. And I sincerely thank CBE for this wonderful gesture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. I'd like to call you to stay on stage, please, if you will, Doctor. Okay, before we get to our fun part with our comedian and the formalities end here, I have to give away this Touch of Blush voucher by Fatima Tile Balm to the value of 800 Rand. Nobody wants it. Qaanitah, you got an award already? Jamila, come and sing then, come. Okay, just come up, just come up. I won't make you sing, I promise. I promise I won't make you sing. No, Farad says you must sing. I was kind of hoping I'm going to get you to dance. So you got choices now. Ashraf, what do you recommend her to do, sing or dance?
No.
You don't? Okay. You're just afraid what she's going to do to you tonight if you say sing.
Jazakallah, thank you so much, appreciate it.
No,
That's
can't
it.
just take it. Farad says you have to sing, you're going to be on INX.
Thank you.
So you have to sing. One line like our friend.
Sing for me.
Shiva, you see, you nominated her.
Thank you.
You accept it. Okay, that's good enough for us. Thank you very much. Okay, let me call our Deputy President. He's been running around all over. There he is. Yusuf Musaji, to do a vote of thanks to end our formal proceedings.
Thanks, Fakir. I thought you'd sing tonight, this afternoon. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What a truly uplifting and unforgettable afternoon this has been. So on behalf of the Congress of Business and Economics, it gives me immense pleasure and joy to deliver this vote of thanks at our Women's Recognition Awards, edition 10. Yasmin, you'll remember the first edition, right? Okay. So, there's some people in the audience here that have actually attended all 10 editions, and we're really grateful for that. So today, we did more than just hand out awards. We celebrated courage, brilliance, and the power of women to change the world. To our 3 superb awardees, each of you has shown us what passion, vision, and determination can achieve. Your journeys are not only remarkable, but they ignite hope in all of us. You have set the bar high, and we salute you. A very heartfelt moment of gratitude goes to Dr. Naledi Pandor, our special citation recipient. Dr. Pandor, your leadership, wisdom, and steadfast service to our nation and beyond has been nothing short of extraordinary. We honor you today, not just for what you have achieved, but for who you are. An inspiration to women and men alike, a voice of strength, and a true example of service. To our sponsors and partners, thank you for believing in this vision of the CBE and walking this journey with us. To our organizing team, you've turned hard work into a seamless and beautiful celebration. And to our guests, your presence today has made this occasion shine even brighter. So as we leave here, we take with us this energy, the pride, and the inspiration we felt in this room. May it carry us forward to continue celebrating women, uplifting women, and creating space for women to continue leading. Thank you, and may we rise together. So our last round of applause for all our awardees and Dr. Pandor.
All right, assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. Hello. Yes. A round of applause to all our amazing ladies here today. Let's acknowledge them another time, really. You guys can hear me fine? Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here at the CBE function. When CBE contacted me about this, I couldn't say no. I needed the money. It's middle of the month, guys. I know some of you drove here with your petrol light on. Don't act like you didn't. You know who you are. Everyone has that one bra who's always driving with the petrol light on. Chances are you came to this function with that person. And you know what it is? And these are people who drive with the petrol light on. They are people of faith. The highest level of faith. Because you got so much stress in your life, and the people with no petrol want to give everybody lifts. Have you noticed this? I'll fetch you. I'll fetch you. Like, no, I'll drive myself. No, I'll fetch you. And then you agree reluctantly, and then they come to pick you up. And you got enough problems in your life, and you get in that car, and lo and behold, that petrol light is on. Now you're stressing, Is it today's petrol light or last month's petrol light? You're hoping it's at least a fresh petrol light. And you're sitting there stressed and they're driving and that needle's hanging on for dear life. And eventually you ask them, aren't you going to fill petrol? And they'll say something like this, I know my car. Something crazy spiritual. But but the needle's by E. The needle's by E. E is for enough. Did you know, Minister, that in 2025 there are still people amongst us who fill 50 Rand petrol in South Africa? In the Republic, because according to them, their car doesn't know the petrol went up in price. 50 Rand. It's a uniquely South African thing, and it's not a rich and poor thing. I was in Sandton earlier today. A guy pulled up with a 2 million Rand Mercedes. Pulls up, 50 Rand. I'm like, bruh, where are you going with this 50 Rand? Pump 1 to pump 3? Maybe. And then people want to know, like, how come in 2025, there's no flying cars? They promised us flying cars in the future. We saw it in movies. You know why? South Africa, we are holding everybody back. We can't be trusted with that technology. No way. Imagine there was flying cars. One day you're walking down the Rivonia Road, minding your own business. Next thing, Ford Ranger falls on your head. Pah! Because the guy filled 50 Rand. What is wrong with us South Africans? We are something else, eh? But you know, laughter is so important, you know. I'm a comedian because laughter is really the best medicine. I think you guys agree, you know. My father phoned me the other day, you know. My father's the original comedian in my family, you know. He phoned me the other day. I said, Daddy, how are you doing? He said, no, I'm fine. I said, Daddy, is there load shedding at home? He said, no, son, your mother's still here. He sleeps on the couch most days. On a positive note, though, South Africans, we are so resilient, you know. We've been through so much. And we even defeated the L word, load shedding, for now. People like they're cringing. They say, don't jinx it, Masu, don't jinx it. People don't like me talking about this. You know, they say, you're going to jinx this thing. Because for 14 years it was there and suddenly it was gone. And people are not even asking why, you know. But some people actually miss load shedding. Do you know this? It's like what they call like Stockholm syndrome, you know. Because for some of you, load shedding was the gift that kept on giving. It was the excuse to mess around at work. For some of you were late for work for 14 years straight. Every time, why are you late? No, boss, I was coming there. And then the traffic lights were out. From Midrand all the way to Rudiport. Load shedding. Where's the reporter asked you for? I was just about to press send. There, load shedding. Then I went home, boss. I was still going to send it from home. And as I was about to press send from home, load shedding. Married men were getting caught cheating. The wives were catching them in that, I got you. Guys are like, oh, baby, it was dark. I thought it was you. Load shedding. But we mustn't stress, you know. There's certain things in our lives, you know, we must keep abreast of like current affairs. But let's be honest, there's certain things that don't really affect you directly, you know. I watch the news. I watch up to the weather. And when it comes to like the economic news there, like, I mean, I'm a comedian now. You know? I mean, there's certain things that, do I really need to know what the cost of Brent crude oil per barrel is? Like a lot of you also, do you care it's like $80-something a barrel? When have you ever woken up in the morning and said, yo, $84 a barrel. Today is a good day to buy a barrel. I think I'm going to go get a barrel. I'm going to borrow my cousin's bakkie. I know a guy who works at Sapref. He'll refine it on the weekend in his spare time. The exchange rate, nobody cares whether it's 17, 40, 18 rand. Have you noticed it's always the people that don't go anywhere that complain the most about the exchange rate? I was in El Dorado Park at my friend Darius's house. Darius was like, my man, 18 rand 40 to the dollar, 18 rand 40. I'm like, Darius, you never left Aldo's in your life. Why do you care? We're stressed too much. I'm Masood Bongbar. I'm from Durban, a little place called Durban. I flew in from Durban, and every time I've come to Joburg quite regularly. But every time I come to Joburg, I just can't get over how big this place is. I don't even think you Joburg people realize how big Johannesburg is. To give you an idea how big Joburg is, the drive from the airport here was longer than the flight. And the Uber was about the same price. But Joburg people, you're mull. Because every time a Joburg person, you ask them where a place is, the answer is always the same. No, I mean, it's around the corner. It's around the corner. You put it into Google Maps, drive 242 kilometers. Then turn left. Technically, though, everything is down the road in Joburg. It's just that Joburg roads don't end. I was in Randburg last week. Beyers-Naudé Drive. Beyers-Naudé starts in Randburg, ends in Botswana. No one has ever been to the end of Beyers-Naudé Drive. I'm telling you, ask anybody if they see the end. Nobody. I was looking for number 246 Beyers-Naudé, driving for 3.5 hours. I got to a South African border fence. I asked the guy, I said, boss, where am I? He said, it's Beyers-Naudé, Botswana side. The highways are scary, minister. It's scary. Durban highways, we miss an off-ramp. You know, it's like 5 minutes. It's going to add to your trip. It's going to be okay. Joburg, my God, you see the off-ramp there? The one, the same sign is showing Kimberley, Bloemfontein. Germiston and Durban, if you take the wrong one, you are not going to work that week. In fact, in Joburg, you take one wrong off-ramp, you end up in someone else's marriage. Just stay where you are, phone home, tell her you're not coming back, start a new family. It's going to take less time. And then you drive in Joburg, and then it's a little game you play when it rains. It's a guessing game. There's no prizes, though. The game is called, is it a pothole or is it a puddle? I don't know if you've ever played that game. It's horrific. And every time I come here, the same traffic lights are out of order for the last 20 years. When they do the traffic report on the radio, they just have to do cut and paste. I'm telling you, it's the same, and traffic lights are out in the corner of Witkoppen and Main. Every time. You know what happens there? There's a misunderstanding at the traffic office. I blame the last guy who leaves the office every day. Because they tell that, brah, listen, before you go, make sure you switch everything off. This brah goes, TV, aircon, Witkoppen and Main. It's stressful. You got to have Google Maps, man. You got to have Jeep. You got to have data. You got to have all these things available to you because you are on your own if you get lost. I use Google Maps all the time, you know. But I find Google Maps needs to get with the time a little bit, you know. Like Google Maps, like I live back in Durban, like even like when I visit my family in Johannesburg, we still live in like former group areas, you know. And I find that Google Maps can't find these places so easily, like it can find Sandton and, you know, these. Like Google Maps struggles a bit. Like I was trying to get to Lens, and Google Maps struggled because Google Maps is a white auntie. She was not familiarized. I activated Lenasia. She said, continue along Golden Highway. Make U-turn where possible. I'm scared. Fortunately, there's software updates for everything, so I downloaded the Google Maps Indian Edition software update. And I activated Lenasia, and a Durban guy started giving me directions in a way that I couldn't. I said, carry on straight, right, hit one left, right, first robo, second robo. Not your concern, right? Hit another left, right, go round another circle. You come baragajo, can't pass it, right? And Google Maps Indian Edition, it doesn't waste time. You know, if you make a wrong turn, it's not very polite, like, make U-turn, make you. He goes, where you going here? 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 You're like, okay, shit. I was going to Eldorado Park. I had to download Google Maps Edition, Braino Edition software update. I got a cousin out there, Nasif. I activated Eldorado Park, the correct software. Check your Vidala left or right. You come there by the corner, see a cherry named Candace. Standing in a gown, rollers in the air. Selling loose guys. You know what's also very South African? You know when you're lost and you got no data, your phone's dead, you got nothing. Where do you stop and ask for directions? Every South African. Petrol station, right? Why do we do this? You stop at a petrol station and you ask petrol attendants for directions. That is so unfair. You put these bras under pressure. You assume because he see cars the whole day, he now must know where all these cars are going. And I've been everywhere. Petrol attendants are the nicest people in South Africa because even if he don't know, he's going to tell you something. Have you ever asked a petrol attendant for direction? He said, I don't know. Never. I was in the middle of nowhere. I asked this brother, where's OR Tambo? He's like, OR Tambo. He does this thing where you can maybe see it from where he is. OR Tambo. And the more he repeats it, you know those directions are going to be bad. He started looking in the sky like he's downloading it from the cloud. Oh, what? Half an hour later, what? Okay, we must just no angas. I was going to America recently. I was expecting the absolute worst. My manager told me in America, he said, man, you know, just keep your passport on you at all times, you know. He says there's some things going on. We know what was going on there. And I thought that's a good idea. Because even though I'm an Indian from South Africa, I don't want to get caught up in things I have nothing to do. I can be mistaken for somebody else, right? I mean, I don't want to be enjoying some tacos. Next thing, I'm getting sent back to the Mexico I didn't come from. Ice got me pinned to the ground. We got another one. I'm like, no, I'm from South Africa. I'm an Indian from South Africa. Nice try, Carlos. It's scary. And plus that orange bra is unpredictable. He doesn't seem like a bra you can reason with, am I right? I'll tell you one thing about that man. No matter what you think, he is the most confident human being walking the earth today. Plain down, there's no man more confident than the Nazi running the United States of America right now. Minister, he will boast about anything. He would catch the flu and boast about how infected he is. Viruses, I have the best viruses. No one has better viruses than me. Tremendous viruses. I get them from hookers. I pass them on to people. They all die. It's a beautiful thing. Bigly infections. I was shocked when he went to the Middle East to try and make peace. I was shocked because I don't trust this guy's geography. He probably thinks Saudi Arabia is the same place from the Disney cartoon Aladdin. In his mind, I've been to Saudi Arabia. Aladdin and Jasmine are great friends of mine. They really are. Muslims love me because I speak fluent Arabian. In fact, I'll do it right now. Namaste. God bless America. Thank you, everybody. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you to CBE for hosting me. I appreciate you. Thank you, for Minister, for being here. We really appreciate your presence. And thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Masood. Great as always. So what would you like to do now? Anyone wants to go to the toilet? I need to remind you that it's on the 3rd floor. So you're going to put this back for me. So since there have been so many requests this afternoon for me to sing, I don't want you to leave, so I won't. I guess you got the message. I'm not singing, right? What we're going to ask you to do now, you're in for a wonderful buffet. Those of you who have been here at previous events, you would know how great it is at Lal Qila. They even laid out the red carpet for all of us. So just head over to the carpet, go in there, and enjoy the buffet. And thank you for joining us again. We've had the formal thank you, but thank you very much. After the buffet, please, wherever you're going, drive carefully. I've got a list of potholes, which I'll share with you privately, depending on your route. Thank you very much again. Please.
Assalamu alaikum to all your viewers, and thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you and the viewers of INCS. I think that really I don't regard myself as a trailblazer. I've been fortunate to have many opportunities, and those really came as a result of schooling and taking education very seriously, and then also not wasting opportunities by doing the wrong things which take you away from a vision that you might have. I've always had a strong belief in the value of education to society, and particularly to black people who are denied quality education in our country under our old system of apartheid, and who continue, I think, not to get the best of education up to this time. So it's really having a vision and holding fast to that vision, learning about the area of interest that you have, being ready to read, to learn from others, and then trying to really align yourself with good mentors. They may not directly be an advisor to you, but you look at them for example, and you try to follow what they do and to learn from them. And finally, friendship.
What a wonderful afternoon filled with the most inspiring stories of these trailblazing women. From the story of Qaanitah, who started her journey at just 17 years old, to Dr. Ben, who is really trailblazing in the medical field, making things accessible for all women for their health, all the way to Dr. Naledi Pandor, really a powerhouse in our political scene. I'm Anya Saluji, signing off, inspired and happy to celebrate our women around us. Assalamu alaikum.